Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the FOJC Radio Underground Church Book Review. In these little segments, we're going to be featuring book reviews on some of the rare and interesting volumes that we have in our FOJC Radio library. And perhaps you might want to add some of them to your library. And we're doing a book review today on a book written by Ingersoll Lockwood. We talked about on our previous book review the first two writings that are in this five-book collection. And in this review today, we're going to be talking about The Last President, and we're going to be talking about Strange Adventures of $1,000,000 and The Laconics of a Cult. And in this book today, it's that we're talking about today. It's just absolutely amazing. In this book, The Last President, there is a populist president that is elected, and his election sparks riots that bring down the United States of America. Now, in our first book review of Baron von Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, we pointed out so many similarities between the characters in Ingersoll Lockwood's book and those of Mr. Trump and his family. And as we said in our previous book review, these were written between the years 1889 and 1900. And these similarities are just absolutely compelling. And I'll just let you all decide what you think is behind all of this. What I believe that spirits are trying to recreate a timeline and bring to pass the events in this book. There are just too many similarities. Now, I'll read from, and the page number here, this is from the Ingersoll Lockwood, the complete collection that has all five of these books in it. And I'll read here from page 302. And it says here, keep within your houses, close your doors and barricade them. The entire East Side is in a state of uproar. Mobs of vast size are organizing under the lead of anarchists and socialists and threaten to plunder and despoil the houses of the rich who have wronged and oppressed them for so many years. And the election of this populist president, it sets off mass riots in New York City. And guess where they begin? You can't make this stuff up. It says, our day has come at last. Down with the oppressors, death to the rich man. The police force was now almost helpless. The men still used their sticks, but the blows were ineffectual and only served to increase the rage of the vast hordes now advancing upon Madison Square. Now, is it just a coincidence that Mr. Trump's now very famous and iconic rally right there at Madison Square Garden? Well, I tell you what, I don't believe in coincidence, and the coincidences with this Mr. Ingersoll Lockwood's novels and the current events that surround Mr. Trump, they're just over the top. Also, in this novel, on page 306, just like on January 6th, we have a mob that marches on the Capitol. Yeah, that's right. It says here on page 306, Coxey's armies were forming for an advance on Washington. While these motley armies marched upon the capital of the Republic, the railway trains night and day brought vast crowds of new men, politicians of low degree, men out of employment, drunken and disgruntled mechanics, farmers' sons, to seek their fortune under the reign of the people. So, I mean, it just goes on, and like I say, the coincidences are too much to ignore. There's something behind this, and I think there's definitely a spiritual feel to this, and I think all of you are going to agree with that. And it says here on page 322 that the riots that ensued from the election of this president, he is the last president because the country is brought down from the rioting all over the nation. Now, this is something now that a lot of people are talking about. Should Mr. Trump win? There's already people that are organizing riots and protests. Could spirits be working to fulfill this very scenario. On page 322, it says the bells were ringing, a glad welcome to the new century, but a solemn tolling would have been a bitter thing, for the Republic of Washington was no more. And in this novel, our nation is taken down. And not only is our nation taken down, but it's very interesting in this novel what is put in its place. Now, on page 333, and this is in the writing on the laconics of occult, and it says here on page 333, or excuse me, 331, recipe to make a god. Yeah, that's right. Take 33 and one third percentum ignorance, 33 and a third credulity, and 33 and a third human ingenuity. Mix carefully and stand until fermentation sets in. So I tell you what, the recipe to make a god, and it's 3 parts of 33. Now, I tell you what, I think I'm getting a clue here that there's a spiritual hand that is directing this, and it's a dark spiritual hand. And the coincidences are just too much to deny that there's spirits that are trying to bring about this very scenario right now. And Christianity, of course, is mocked in this novel. It says here on page 348, the Lord's Prayer is obviously artificial and manifestly put together by an illogical and unthinking mind, and Jesus and Christianity is ridiculed, and they have something planned to put in its place. Yeah, that's right. This cult, and there's a list. I mean, like I say, you can't make it up. There's a list of holidays that will be enforced. And of course, October 30th is on there, and a lot of the others that you would suspect would be on this list of the holidays of the new cult that will replace the United States of America. And on page 366, it says this: the new cult I call Cult of the Immortal Human. Yeah, the transhumanist cult. How many times we've been talking about the goal is to establish a transhumanist society. It's right here in this book, written in the 1800s. The new cult I call Cult of the Immortal Human, and it is based upon the now scientifically proven fact that man is the crowning work of nature, gaining every year in power of intelligence and insight into his own nature. Well, according to this book, America will fall and it will be replaced by a cult of the transhumanist, fully evolved human being 2.0, which we've talked about so much. And I believe, and we've talked about this agenda many times, and I believe that the devils of hell are trying to bring this agenda about. So it's time for us to watch and pray, and we're just going to all buckle up and see what happens if this scenario of the last president by Ingersoll Lockwood is fulfilled within just a few days here in America. God bless y'all, and thanks for being with us on the Underground Church Book Review.